This is Jake Doell with a story about a group of rugged individuals known as the Chuckwagon Drivers. It was in Calgary, July 1960, during the week of the big stampede. I was a guitar player in a Western band, entertaining on street corners and in hotels. Each day while appearing in one of the hotels, a noisy bunch of rough and ready, backslapping men would enter to hotly argue the afternoon's events while wetting down their dry, dusty throats. These were men with nerves of steel, a generation descended of our early pioneers, made of the same stuff it took to settle the land and build the West. One afternoon, shortly before the end of the stampede, this same group made their daily appearance. Gone were their usual jolly high spirits. Now their faces were saddened and long, drawn with lines of sorrow. They sat down together in one corner, and after a time, one man known as Old Doc came forward and asked the band if he might say a few words. These are the words he spoke. Fellows, as you all know, last night one of our men had an accident on the track and was killed. Now, I have no intention of turning the Empire Hotel into a ladies' funeral parlor, but we all lost a good friend, a fellow driver, a man who left behind a wife and 7 kids. I'm sure you all realize this could happen to any one of us, any time, but for the grace of God. Yes, we lost a good man, and he bought a lot of beer for most of you in this room. I think it only fitting for every man here to rise, take off his hat, and pay his respects to a fellow driver who's driven his last earthly race. I'd like all of you to join with me in singing that familiar hymn, The Old Rugged Cross.
On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame.
This was a scene never to be forgotten. Here were hard-grown men standing in a saloon, hats in their hands, unashamed of the tears in their eyes, paying their tribute in the only way they knew, with the words of this old hymn. Looking down from their portraits on the walls were such men of rodeo fame as Will Rogers, Pete Knight, and other champions of bygone days. Yes, it seemed as if this day yet another name had been added to the records of rodeo history.